Take your heart first, I'm really sorry about it. The Mi Mix Alpha is not coming to India. At a closed-door briefing with journalists, Sumit Sonal and Raghu Reddy, who are the heads for the Mi sub-brand in India, actually confirmed that. Now, talking about the Mi sub-brand, Xiaomi India has a renewed focus for this brand in 2020. More about that later. But first, let's talk about the Mi Mix Alpha. To be entirely honest, when Xiaomi showcased the Mi Mix Alpha at the launch in China, I wasn't really very impressed with the renders that were showcased. But after seeing the Mi Mix Alpha for the first time in real life, it has turned me into a convert. I'm Ershad from Mr. Phone, and let's take a first quick, only looky, no touchy of the Mi Mix Alpha. Anyway, I also want to apologize in advance for the potato visual qualities because I shot with the Note 10 Plus. I didn't have a mirrorless with me because we had no clue about the Mi Mix Alpha being showcased. So apologies in advance. Alright, before we move on, don't forget to hit that red subscribe button and the bell icon right next to it to get notified whenever Mr. Phone puts out an awesome new tech video. So, the moment Xiaomi India lifted the wraps off the Mi Mix Alpha, I found it pretty appealing the first time I laid my eyes on it. By the way, Sumit Sonal also mentioned that if it ever came to India, the price would be around the 2,50,000 price range. So you can figure out the kind of audience that would be interested in something like the Mi Mix Alpha. Now, the cool bit about the Mi Mix Alpha is definitely the bendable AMOLED display that wraps around the entire body of the phone and takes up a whopping 180.6% screen to body ratio. That's just mind-numbing numbers. Essentially, instead of going the foldable phone route like Samsung or Motorola, Xiaomi has decided to go off the beaten path and do a bendable, completely wraparound display instead. This is definitely unique, and let's take a look at how it actually works. So when you are on the home screen for the very first time, the wallpaper wraps entirely around the display. Now secondly, when you open an app, only the first display, the front display, actually fires up with the app, and Xiaomi uses the power of Snapdragon 855 Plus and algorithms to actually switch off the pixels on the rear display. So that gets turned off entirely. Now this display actually functions as the -1 display. For example, on a phone like the Pixel, the Google Home panel that comes up on the left is something that uses the -1 display. So this display works as that. Currently, there are first-party apps that can be showcased on the rear display. For example, I saw an instance of the music app playing on the background. So for example, if you are actually browsing through Twitter, you can have the music app playing on the background. Now this is actually pretty cool because that lets you multitask. For all that you need to do is switch over to the rear display and then use that portion of the display for that specific function. For example, you could use it to call an Uber, or you could use it to order something through Swiggy. Obviously, dev support is required for that -1 display, and Xiaomi will have to work with them extensively for that. But let's also not forget that this is a concept phone, so this is just an idea that has stemmed at the Xiaomi labs at the moment. Now, apart from the rear display and the front display, there are also the displays on the edges because it's a wraparound one. So over there, Xiaomi has decided to show important information like your notification prompts, or your Wi-Fi signal strength, your mobile strength, and all of those things. Plus, there is a pressure-sensitive, volume rocker button as well, which will give you a tactile feedback when you press it. Unfortunately, at the demo that Xiaomi showcased, we couldn't test that out. Obviously, we couldn't touch it either. Regardless, even Xiaomi's representatives couldn't actually use it, primarily because that wasn't currently available for the current build of the phone. Now imagine, however, the possibilities are endless. For example, you could have air trigger like setup, which you have on the Asus ROG phone to work on that pressure sensitive area in a game like PUBG or Call of Duty, which will be really, really cool. So where's the power button? It's actually on the top, and you also get a USB Type-C port and a speaker grill at the bottom. Obviously, there's no 3.5mm jack there either. Now the other thing you must be wondering is, what about the earpiece? Yes, the earpiece is a couple of piezoelectric speakers which are beneath the display, and apart from that, the proximity sensor is also an ultrasonic one which is underneath the display. All that is pretty cool. Now the party trick of the software, and something that you might have seen in the renders and gone wow, and something which looked actually incredible incredible in real life when I saw it is that cool battery charging animation, and it also changes gradients and colors depending on the level of battery that it is charging at. So it looks damn cool in my opinion. While the glass wraparound display is definitely going to be the showstopper, there is no denying that Xiaomi has actually also used a lot of premium materials. For example, the strip on the rear, the only strip on the rear which houses the camera module, is actually made of ceramic. And apart from that, that strip also includes the 5G antennas as well. Of course, this is a 5G phone for sure. Now, to also ensure that the display and the frame are pretty tight and the frame actually has the tensile strength to hold on to the display, Xiaomi has gone ahead and used titanium alloy. Yes, this is the same alloy that is used to make aircrafts. So that is some crazy level of engineering. Also, I completely forgot, when you are inside the camera app and hit the selfie button, it switches on to the rear display. So that's all very intuitively done. Oh, and apart from that, the camera strip on the ceramic strip, of course, is protected by a layer of sapphire glass. So that makes it even more stronger as a material. So overall, while the display wraps around and you might feel that it is a little fragile and fall and break, of course it's going to break, but at least for what it's worth, Xiaomi has done the engineering to ensure that it doesn't easily, and has made it pretty strong in my opinion. Now, obviously, the internals are bound to be beefy. This is a top of the line smartphone. It goes without saying, these are the best specs that we've seen inside a Xiaomi phone yet. It's of course got Snapdragon 855 Plus, 12 gigabytes of RAM and 512 GB of internal storage. Apart from that, there's a 4050 mAh battery which can charge at wired charging speeds of up to 40 watts. Now, the one thing that Xiaomi is actually proud of is the camera setup on the rear. You get a 108 megapixel primary camera, which is of course the talk of the town, and you get a 20 megapixel wide angle camera and a 12x telephoto camera as well. Now, of course, when you take selfies with the 108 MP camera, pimples are going to look like craters on the moon. So that's when the beautification effect will come into play. Anyway, here are a few first samples shared by the brand, because I didn't even get to touch it. So no donut for me. So yeah, showcasing the Mi Mix Alpha was Xiaomi India's little ploy of actually getting us to care about the Mi sub brand, because yes, there is a renewed focus on the Mi sub brand in 2020 for Xiaomi India. So there will be a clear differentiating and distinguishing factor between the two sub brands, that is Mi and Redmi. The more premium phones are slated to launch in the Mi sub brand for sure. Now, one of the things that we all had questions about is, when are these phones coming? What kind of phones are coming first? For every single question that we had, all we got was a very soon. But it doesn't take a genius to guess that the Mi Note 10 will probably be the first one in that lineup. Well, I will see you guys very soon with probably more information. Until then, I'll keep dreaming about the Mi Mix Alpha. So what do you guys think? I'm Ershad from Mr. Phone. I hope you liked the video. Until next time, goodbye and Godspeed, my friends.